So hello everybody, this is Tiffany Divine Misfit here. I am recording this video on Juneteenth. So this has been a video that I've had in the making, but I haven't done it. But what a perfect day on Juneteenth. So I thought I'd do something a little different. I'm outside instead of being inside to tell this story. So for my viewers who are not from the United States, Juneteenth is a national holiday where it's the day that the slaves were freed. I forgot the story behind it and the history, but today is a holiday. Some people get it off, some people don't. So judging by the holiday and the story I'm going to tell, it's in honor of Juneteenth. So before we get started, again, I will put a description at the timestamp. I'm sorry, my words are jumbled, but I'm going to put the timestamp in the description and in the pinned comment if you just want to get to this video. So here we are. So I want to give a shout out to all my new subscribers. Again, thank you so much for the love and support. It really means so much to me. And then every time I get a new support, I'm like, oh, thank you. It really makes my day. Truly it does. So thank you. Now, so this video is going to be about Solomon Northup. And for those who don't know who Solomon Northup was a man that lived in Saratoga, New York, and he was kidnapped and sold into slavery, and he made the book 12 Years a Slave, which is now a movie by I'm gonna butcher his name, I might say wrong, but I think it's something McQueen. That's the director's name. So just to give a little background, basically Solomon Northup, he talked about how his father was a slave, but he earned his freedom and he got the name Northrup from his previous slave owner, and he moved to New York. And Solomon, he was married to a woman named Anne. And Anne, I read a little bit of the book, by the way. He lived in Saratoga, New York. Him and Anne, they had their own little separate things that they would do. And he had Margaret and Alonzo, and I don't remember the other children's name, but he played the violin. And so these two men came to him, offered him a job. And in the book, I remember they said that they took him all the way down to Washington and other states where he was performing. But this is where the story took a turn. Now, when he went to this one area with these men, they drugged him, and he woke up in a slave pen. And at the time, you had to show proof that you were a freed man. And basically, he was taken, and he was given his slave name, Platt. And I remember in the book, they said something about how they changed his identity to him being a runaway. And in his book, he talks about what he's seen during his time of slavery and how he earned his freedom was by a man who was Canadian, and he was very overt and outspoken against slavery. He wrote him a letter to his friends up in the north and to his family, and they reunited. But after his freedom, he tried to get the men that kidnapped him and drugged him to court. But in those times, you couldn't testify against whites as a black man or any person of color. So he didn't get the justice that he rightfully deserved. So now this story that I'm going to say is going to be about what happened after his freedom. We do know that he was an abolitionist and he helped on the Underground Railroad. And we do know that he became very outspoken about slavery and how he was so opposed to slavery. So this video is going to be about this reading that I've done in the past. So now the reason why I chose this was because there is an unknown mystery about Solomon Northup, because he disappeared, but no one knows like what happened to him. Some people speculate that he may have been kidnapped. Some people speculate that he could have been sold back to slavery, or some people speculate that he could have been killed, because he was very outspoken, and I'm pretty sure many people who were for slavery at the time were not a big fan of him. So my reading goes as this, and again, this is all from my memory recollection. I'm just a girl who's a woo-woo. I'm just a girl who does readings. I'm just a girl with cards. Everything what I'm saying is all by memory and by speculation. There is no facts here. Just my memory. So, without being said, let's get started. So, I asked in my reading about Solomon Northup, I said to him, well, to the cards, because I thought of this. If you were kidnapped, your family would be worried about you. And then I even thought about his family. Did his family think that he just got up and abandoned them? Did his family just wonder, like, where the heck did he go? So that's where I started my reading. It kind of reminded me of like true crime. Like, you know, when you see like when someone is disappeared and they say it's not like this person to do this, like they will do this or do that, like they'll give crooks, or like they'll let you know what's going on. People, they're in communication. But there seems to be, his family seemed to be like, wait a second, this something is totally off, and they were worried. And I remember just feeling heartbroken and sad, and I think it was his wife who felt like she kept getting the 9 of Swords, and I just felt constant like heartbreak, and I felt just like I just felt sadness and heartbreak. That's all I could feel from that. And then I asked about things that I read in the book. Now, again, some of the things I'm gonna say right now are a little bit heavy, so here's your warning. In his book, he talked about what happened when he was at the slave market. There was a girl named Eliza, a woman named Eliza, and she had 2 children, Randall, and I forgot the little girl's name. But I remember seeing, and I was using the haunted house, and just to give like a picture, it was a woman that's like holding her daughter, and her daughter's holding her like this. And as I was looking at him, like, how was this legal at one point? Like, this is horrible. Like, to see a mother and her daughter like this, and the daughter is just like, don't let me go, like, don't let me go, don't let me go. When Solomon was in the market, he talked about how his first slave owner, Mr. Ford, how he was gonna originally buy the little girl and then buy the mom. But what happened was, I think his name was Mr. Birch. He was the ones who would be selling the slaves at the market. And basically, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get in trouble by YouTube, but he basically said that she is not for sale, that basically that she's going to be making a lot of money because she was half, like, she was a mulatto. So, like, if that's right to say, like, she was half white, half black, and so she had more of a lighter skin tone, and so she was more favorable for profit in a different way, pimping her out. And he told Mr. Ford that basically that he would make piles of money on her, and how she's better than all the bullet head cotton picky and words, and that he wasn't going to sell her to him. And so the first child that got sold was the son, Randall. And in the book, he says, "Don't worry, Ma, I'll be a good," as he walks away. And I wanted to find out what happened to that little boy. The little boy was sold to this person at a plantation. He went further south. I believe he probably went to either Alabama or North or South Carolina. And his job was to clean the house. And I do believe Randall did try to run away at one point. But he had a slave owner that was brutal. And Randall will never see his mom ever again. But I asked where this little boy is buried. I believe he's buried in an area that is private property, where his grave is unmarked, but it's in an area where other enslaved people were, but they don't have gravestones. Like, they have like sticks, like makeshift like crosses. But I do believe it's on private property, so you cannot go on there unless you get special permission. And so now with Eliza, the mom, I didn't really go into her too much. But from her daughter to Randall to Eliza herself, Eliza is more of a protective mother figure where she is in heaven. Randall, he seems to be enjoying his youth that he didn't get to enjoy while he was here on this earth. Eliza, on the other hand, she gives like a very strong presence that I'm moving forward kind of feel. And now going back to Solomon Northup now. He talks about a slave named Patsey a lot. I didn't do much reading and digging into her, but I did ask about what happened to her. So Patsey, when she was freed, I saw soldiers coming, and she was just ecstatic because they took her away. But that was the only beginning of her journey. I do believe she got married off to somebody, but she was with a guy. But she was homeless at one point. That's what I do know about Patsey. And again, this is all cards, no facts here. For all I know, I could be wrong. I just want to put that out there. Allegedly. Now, Solomon Northup, even though he had all these speeches and he was doing all this work, he had severe PTSD. I do believe that he was haunted by the things that he saw in his time of slavery. I believe that he would have either flashbacks or he would have nightmares. But something tells me more that he had more nightmares. And Solomon Northup, he began to drink. And it seems like him and his wife kind of grew, they grew apart. But Anne, Sullivan's wife, she gives me that I'm a strong woman. I can take care of myself kind of feel. She gave me the panther, which is why I put that in the thumbnail. Now, Solomon Northup, he was drinking, and I do see in my reading that I did on him, I saw him holding a glass of like wine, or it could have been whiskey, and he was holding it like that, and Anne is like, I kind of feel like she got tired of it. Like, she got tired of him always being drunk, always drinking. And it just led to them, like, drifting apart. And the thing is that made me learn that just because, you know, he earned his freedom, it was a hard road for him. When he took drinking, he did that to silence the nightmares and the PTSD that he was getting. And how he disappeared, I feel like he was out drinking. Because when I first did this reading, I got the Four of Swords here, and it shows a man against a tree, like how I am right here. But something tells me that he went with somebody. But he went out of the United States. He didn't go like internationally, like Europe. Something tells me he went further up north, like Canada. But when he passed away, he was alone and in isolation. He died an elderly man. I believe that because he got the hermit, which tells me that he was living alone. So he wasn't murdered, he wasn't kidnapped, and he wasn't sold back into slavery. But because a lot of this is so unknown, we just don't know what happened to him, and that's the mystery here. I do believe that I know I already said it, but he was drinking. He went out drinking. And I saw he went like with these group of people, because I saw the Three of Coins, so these are like people that he knew. This wasn't just strangers. And I felt that him being, oh sorry, there's a whatever that landed on me. When he got out of slavery, he became more like overtly blunt and overtly outspoken about things. And one of the cruelest lessons that he had to learn was that he learned to be more, what's that word? Just like he had to use discernment, and he used his intuition. He couldn't trust anybody. I mean, who could blame him? Seriously, poor man. And for my readers, or I mean for my viewers, if you are interested, go watch the movie 12 Years a Slave. I will be honest, it's a very heavy topic, a heavy story, because what I liked about the film was like how it's unapologetic about the reality of slavery. And it makes you wonder, like, how could something like this, like, yes, it's history, but how could us as human beings let this be legal in the first place? And how could people be just, like, how could people do this to another human being is beyond me. And as I was talking about Solomon Northup, I honestly thought that this video would be longer, but I'm just going by what I remember. I do believe Solomon Northup did go with these people, and he was out of the United States. I don't think people were after him, but I do believe that, like, because I saw him leaving with people, but I remember him drinking. And when I looked, I'm gonna just say this before I end the video, so if you're still sticking around watching, thank you so much. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about Randall and I forgot that little girl's name, but she's also in 12 Years a Slave in the movie. But what the movie showed didn't what happened in the book. What happened in the book was that Randall was first sold, then it was that little girl. But what makes it more heartbreaking is more of the details in the book of how you see a little boy being, like in the book, Randall went with these men and he said, "Bye, Mom, I will be good." And when he walked out that door, his mom, his sister, never saw him again. And his story is many stories of young boys that were sold during these times. Unfortunately, same with Eliza. Eliza thought she could be in the good graces of the slave owner. She had his children. She did what she had to do, what she thought would keep her safe. But his daughters end up selling her and her daughter and her son. And that's how she got into that predicament. And there is like accounts too where the slave owners would sleep with their female slaves. And I hate to say this, but unfortunately, that's just the many stories that of many enslaved women that we don't hear about. Randall, I do believe, like I said in the beginning, he did try to make a run for it. So yeah. So Randall did try to run away. I don't know who his slave owner was, but I did see like it was a big plantation. But I do believe where he is buried now is somewhere in North or South Carolina. I don't know about Eliza though. I didn't look into her. So yeah. So I guess this is the video. I kind of thought it would be a little longer than I anticipated, but here we are. So again, I'm recording this on Juneteenth in honor of Solomon Northup, in honor of Randall, Eliza, and her daughter. Their stories are the stories of many enslaved people whose stories didn't get to be told. So, with that being said, thank you everybody for watching. Have a lovely, beautiful day. Take care. I love you, and may y'all have a great summer. Bye-bye.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun, weight on my shoulder.